In these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the situation.
We're on to the third hour of the show. We're here until 10 a.m. every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Setting the agenda, the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN News, KTN Home, YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Radio Garden, and very many other streaming platforms. Find us wherever you can find us, and we appreciate it. Our next conversation is going to be about political parties, political coalitions, how they are formed, at what point then they make sense to the individual parties that come into a coalition, and when do they stop making sense, if ever they do stop making sense. We've invited the Honorable Peter Munya. He's the party leader of the Party of National Unity, PNU. He's here. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very, very well.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you this morning.
Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
You're looking well.
This morning.
You're looking healthy. Yeah.
Well, I've had a break from hectic life of politics.
Yeah.
Though I'm not retired yet.
But you've
But I am not
taken a break.
in a hectic office.
Yes.
So I've been able to take a bit of a rest.
So it's basically like saying a vehicle that has gone on a long journey to, which of those two deserts do you want to take us to in Kenya?
To Chalbi.
There's Chalbi Desert. So imagine you've driven all the way to Chalbi Desert, rugged terrain, come back, now you come back, you're relaxing. But when you come back, what you need to do is to go for service, right?
Yeah.
Take your vehicle for service. Now that you've come back from this rugged terrain of the politics, we'd like you to go for a comprehensive medical cover. No, not cover, checkup.
Checkup.
Comprehensive medical checkup at Aga Khan University Hospital. Any clinic near you for Aga Khan, they can do this full body. It's like 40-point check.
Good to have that information.
Wanaangalia kama macho inaona vizuri, kama mshipa inapiga damu,
kama masikio inasikia,
kama masikio inasikia,
kama meno ni yako,
kama kucha zinaweza gwara, everything. They check everything in and out. Okay, it begins at 9,950.
Ukisema hata ndip wanacheck kama mafuta iko.
Wanaangalia kama oil iko sawa.
Oil iko sawa. Wanaambia mkubwa tuongeze 1 liter. Ama uko karibu kwenda service.
Yes.
So the Aga Khan University Hospital clinics, wherever they are, and the one nearest to your neighborhood, just go there as little as 9,950. Comprehensive medical checkup. It's important. City, why don't you welcome the party leader with the day's proverb? This week, Mheshimiwa Munya, he is giving us proverbs from landlocked countries. Last week, this week, and next week, landlocked countries in Africa. So apart from Uganda, which other landlocked country would you tell us?
My goodness, there are many. Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Chad, Central African Republic,
Mheshimiwa, you really know your geography.
This guy was a waziri bwana.
No, yes, he
can be East African Minister for East Africa.
Yes.
I'm
also interested in African affairs.
I think that is the key thing, because we've had Africans who've been sitting on that same chair. Somebody looks at you and says, Somali. You say, oh, bro. This is a boy. Come on, Mtiani. You may have to Xerox, as we used to say. The proverb.
This week, which country?
We are in the Republic of Botswana. Now, they have an interesting government, Ndugu. The government is called a unitary dominant party parliamentary republic with an executive president. It's a very interesting mix. Yes. Unitary dominant party parliamentary republic with an executive president.
Very strange one.
Yes, it is. It is unique, and I think it's unique to their country.
Because if you are parliamentary, then how do you have an executive president?
They decided whoever wrote those rules, it's okay. They can keep their rules.
Yes.
Them, they're writing
theirs.
they're writing their
Yes.
own. Yes.
But Mheshimiwa, South Africa is
They are
similar.
right. South Africa is similar. South Africa is similar, but
It's unitary.
in my view, you describe the president of South Africa as president, but in reality, if he has to be removed, he's removed by the party.
Yes.
So is the name president, but he's really a prime minister. If you look at how
If you look at
the presidential and the parliamentary systems work, president description is okay for prestige and relations with outside countries, but in terms of his removal, it's the party that removes him.
So it's
So the way a prime minister would be removed, or a vote of no confidence in parliament, which again, a presidential system purely, you've got to be impeached or voted out. You have a fixed term. They don't have a fixed term because if the confidence of the party, you lose the confidence of your party.
We shall. So the dominant party.
So it's really still
It's a parliamentary.
leaning towards parliamentary.
It's a dominant party that's speaking. It's a dominant party
yes.
in parliament
Yes.
that is
Yes.
speaking the president.
Yes.
And then the president now here becomes head of government and head of state. So unlike now in the other parliamentary systems where you said then have a separate head of state and a head of government coming from parliament.
That's the element now that makes it presidential, because it's still the end of state. Yes, it combines the end of state and
government.
end of government.
But it's interesting because it means if you stop being dominant, then you don't have the free will to choose the president of your choice. You have to consult others. You have to barter. You have to bargain. It's an interesting check and balance.
ANC just did that
Yes.
Yeah.
with the Democratic Alliance.
Yes.
But you see, it's a question of people structuring a government they think will serve them. Even this thing of parliamentary presidential is the way we stand in Western systems. But we assume Western systems are the governments. But the governments over history, you stand here, are quite different. So people thinking of their own way of crafting a government that can serve the people, because at the end of the day, is how well can you be able to serve the people. Okay.
The proverb?
To give away is to make provision for the future.
To give away is to make provisions for the future. What's your interpretation of this one?
To give away is to make provisions for the future. It's a very deep one. Giveaways like, giving something.
Yes.
If there's negotiations of talking with people, you give away, you give something. It's like investing for the future,
Yes.
because you can also get something back.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
My take, Proverbs have many interpretations.
That's the point, and that's why your interpretation is absolutely correct. Because it is your interpretation of it. Yes.
So Mheshimiwa, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition. PNU is one of the parties that make this, it's called what? Coalition of parties.
Yes.
Coalition party.
It's coalition. It's one of the coalition parties.
Yeah, in the coalition party.
Yes.
Because Azimio is a coalition party.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
And it made up of parties that come together. We have seen in the recent past, this conversation about Azimio. So what's the future of Azimio? If the leader, Raila Odinga, moves into AU, what happens to Azimio? Now that we are seeing ODM releasing its top leaders to go into government, what happens to Azimio? We have seen NARC Kenya writing to Azimio and saying, because of this, we are giving notice that we'd like to leave Azimio. We have had the same. We were quoted. In fact, we were listening to your clip here and saying, that's Munya. He's saying they're leaving. And then the next thing I see you standing next to the other Azimio leaders and you're speaking. What happened? So is PNU in Azimio or is it not?
A PNU is still in Azimio. Given an opinion, a personal opinion, that if things continue the way they are continuing, we are considering leaving. And indeed, I invited our NEC to consider, to look at whether we should stay or we should leave. And after long discussion and consultations with other party members, other parties that are from the coalition, we agreed that it may not be opportune to leave at this point. We are stronger together. If we leave, if at all, then it's better even to leave as a group, so that we still have a coalition that can continue pushing for change, that we are pushing for providing leadership in the opposition.
What are these?
I got persuaded to that view. Instead of pulling out as PNU alone, we see if we can be able to bring change within Azimio. If we can't do that, then we still have that option.
Okay. What are these events that made you uncomfortable?
Yeah, the key event that has made us quite uncomfortable is the one you are calling donation of members of ODM into the Kenya Kwanza government. There had been discussions being reported and being told by our leader in Azimio that there was an approach. He had been approached and there had been discussions to join government. And we had discussed and agreed that it was not right to join government because the issues that we have been pushing, doing demonstrations, Gen Z demonstrations, and even demonstrations led by our leader himself, are not being resolved. And we thought we are better off continuing to play opposition politics. And we reached a point where there was an agreement that if at any point it became necessary for the opposition to join government, then it has to be a government that is established by law, like the one enjoined at some point with Kibaki, where there was an accord that clearly spelled out what that government was going to do, and that guaranteed the possibility of people joining, being able to have the latitude to do the things they would want to do. So we said, without those negotiations that provide a legal framework, that guarantee that you are going there to sort out specific issues that are being talked about. Indeed, we agree that unless it's like an interim government that provide a framework for bringing changes in the country, constitutional changes that would address the economic issues, then it will not be right to join the government. You would be better off giving this government that is under a lot of pressure a lifeline.
So this is what the Azimio partners sat and you told your leader?
Yes.
Following the approach that had been made to you?
Yes.
And so was it consensus? Was there a consensus that, yes, let us not join government?
Yes, indeed, there was a consensus.
Was there clarification on what joining government would mean? Did you say that let us not join government as Azimio as a party, as a coalition party? Let us not join government as any constituent parties, but it's okay if individuals join government?
It was never agreed that it was okay if individuals join government.
Was there a conversation like that?
It was agreed, as I've explained, and a P&G for ODM was actually convened, and it was followed by a P&G also of the coalition parties. And if you remember, there was some disruption of some kind when we were addressing a press conference.
Yeah.
That communication is what we were communicating, what we had agreed. So it was agreed, actually, that actually the 3 points that we were agreed on was, first of all, justice for people who have been killed and maimed and property destroyed, to set a climate for that kind of a discussion, and then a discussion that would create a framework, that would create an interim government. And we said any other circumstances would be self-serving, and it would also be helping this government, giving it a lifeline to survive. And then, of course, after that discussion, that's when we saw people joining. Then another meeting was convened to ask why. and we were told these are individuals,
Not the party.
not the party. We
This-
were not convinced.
News about individuals being approached was floating around. It was in the public. And now, particularly for you as party leaders, you must have heard that there have been approaches to individuals, or that names have been floated of individuals who could join the government. There were even talk of maybe even some members coming to meetings and speaking as if they're trying to persuade, the leadership of the political parties in Azimio to say, we can actually get, ODM can get number of seats, Jubilee can get a number of seats, Wiper can get one of those seats. Was there any conversation like that among your peers?
Well,
Of somebody coming to say, guys, I've been approached.
yes, there was a meeting when we got wind of the fact that there were individuals joining. We got information that, other parties have been offered positions. Those parties rejected, like Wiper. And in our discussion, we said our position remains that if ever that happens, it has to be in a structured manner where there is a law that provides for it. And we were told these are individuals. And we were told that the party is going to meet to release them to join government.
But was the party releasing them, or were they being relieved of the positions they held within the party? Because if we were to believe the utterances that have been attributed to some of these people, in the interview, they said they are still in the party. And some even added adjective to it. They are still strong members of the party.
I wouldn't doubt if they are saying they are strong members. Because
Who are you to doubt?
who am I to doubt? If a party donates 2 deputy party leaders, a minority leader in parliament,
The chairman of their party,
the chairman of the party,
the head of the political wing of the party,
how
the most highly, the organ, these people represent the highest ranking officers within the party, outside the party leader.
absolutely.
And we are saying that, okay, you have a situation where, let me give a war analogy. We are at war with country X, okay? And we've been at war for some time. We've gotten to a point where country X is clearly in retreat. Then we say, look, let's solve this problem. Let's give you 4 of our generals, okay? 2 are 4-star generals.
Vice CDF.
Yes. 2 vice CDFs. Okay, there's a 2-star general here. There's even a 1-star general here. But this is our contribution towards this process.
Your retreat.
Because you're clearly in retreat. Does it really make sense?
It doesn't make sense. I can't put it better than you have done. Because it's exactly like that. There is a war going on.
Yes.
Political war. The opposition is saying this government is not taking the country in the right direction, and there are issues, very weighty issues. The country itself is saying, the population is saying that we have a problem. And your army has been the one pushing
Yes.
for this change, and then all of a sudden you are donating your generals to the other side.
How?
It's a very good analogy, by the way, Sita.
And you still want to say, I belong to this, I'm still leading this army.
How is it that you have now joined the people whom you have been at war with, and you still want us to believe that having joined them, you are still with the other side? That logic is bizarre. I find it, well, we live in a new age, in a new dispensation, so maybe it's logic that other people understand better than I, but in my mind, it defies what I would refer to as common logic.
Which is why, Mheshimiwa, then you've seen the reaction, and the reaction is that the political class is just regrouping. Because the demonstrations this time did not come from the established political system. That unlike last year, where the established political system in the opposition or minority was pushing and agitating on the streets, This time it's a different group. And it's a sizable group that has come up. So the political system has felt threatened, and you're regrouping. And all of you, even as you appear to be, disagreeing up here, bottom line, all of you are sort of in agreement that this is safer for us. It guarantees our survival as a political class. It guarantees that at least we have some sense of another day to live and fight.
I would agree with you. There is a regrouping, that's for sure. But I wouldn't say it's the entire political class that is regrouping. And that's why some of us are saying, no, we can't continue this way. So it's not the entire political class. If two leading figures in our political class meet behind closed doors and make an agreement on how they want to work together, does that make it the entire political class? Because the same questions you're asking, we're also asking. And all these meetings we have been meeting is to ask these questions. Have we abandoned the quest to bring meaningful changes in the country? Have we abandoned, because the demonstrations that proceeded, there were other demonstrations led by our side of the political divide. Does it mean we have abandoned all that now? We want to negotiate our own share? Is it what it was all about?
And that's the argument.
Is this what it was all about?
That you actually did that with the National Dialogue Committee, where I crystallized your issues and the issues that Kenya Kwanza had, and meetings that were held, led by senior leaders from your side and leaders from the Kenya Kwanza side, an agreement and a report that was signed by all but one of your members, then that means that, yes, you had actually agreed that those were the issues. The issues that were important were form an office and call it leader of official opposition. The issues that were important were incorporate us in the selection panel of the next IEBC. The issues that were important were, let's just put in something there to say, we shall review the election of 2022, we shall do some audit, but not even say how that audit shall happen. That you'd already agreed that, we've got to note something, one or two things. And so now when the Gen Z are coming and their push is for accountability, you are right there, lost at sea.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that argument, because we had issues with that NADCO, that committee ourselves, even internally, because of what you're saying. And at one point, it's true, we agreed. We say, just for pragmatism, because there are certain things that must happen. We need an IBC for sure. We said, if that can be recruited as we move along, that is okay. There was also a discussion on whether getting positions is important. We said on our side, we don't think positions is what we are looking for. But it was said it is the other side that had brought those specific agendas into the discussion. So if you see the report clearly, you see there were disagreements. There was an agenda brought by the Kenya Kwanza government and an agenda brought by our side. Now, since it was a discussion, you disagreed on some of the agenda, like the issue of cost of living was our key issue, which the other side said, no, you are not government, we are government. We are the ones who are going to address that issue. So even though that report was taken, there were misgivings, a lot of misgivings within our team, that it didn't go as far as we would have wanted it to go. But we said we still continue with our push to get the changes we required. So we never abandoned, said now we have agreed, we are moving forward. No, we said we'll continue pushing for cost of living, we'll continue pushing for the changes we require, even as some of the gains like the IEBC, which we required, we needed, continue to be implemented.
Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 9. The Honorable Peter Munya, party leader of the Party of National Unity, PNU, is our guest. PNU is one of the member parties of the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition political party. Political coalition party. What's that thing called? You're a lawyer. What did you guys call it in the elections?
It's a coalition political party.
Coalition political party. That one. Azimio is a coalition political party, bringing together political parties into that coalition. We'll be back shortly. Keep it here.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.